Okay, I took a trade this morning. Ended up being a win. I'm very happy with the way I traded this morning. I took a setup that I feel like I normally would not take, and the reason being for that is that there was something with this setup that was a what's the word? I usually, when I'm entering a trade, I need everything to look perfect. If there's one thing that looks glaringly obvious to me as to why price wouldn't move in my direction, I won't take the trade. Even if I'm very, even if my intuition is telling me that it's going to go higher or lower or whatever, there usually is that one thing that I tell myself, you know what, can't enter because of this one thing. And today, I'll explain what that one thing would have been and why I didn't, um, why I decided to not care about that and just enter and trust my intuition. So, um, if you go to the daily, weekly literally gives us nothing. But the daily, you can see how we did not tap into this daily fair value gap right away. So when I came to the market at like 9:15, we had not tapped this yet. Um, we were inside of this daily fair value gap that was already tapped into. So technically, like, wasn't the best like point of interest for us to bounce from. What I did notice, obviously, I did notice that we had this gap underneath that we did end up tapping. What I did notice though was that we had these equal lows here. And we were inside a bearish 4-hour fair value gap and I believe a bearish 1-hour fair value gap, and we were sweeping that high here. So initially I wanted sells to this low here because obviously there was that uh, daily fair value gap underneath that wasn't filled, and there was these equal lows here that were given to us on Friday. And you can see we kind of just dumped and did not give me an opportunity to enter. The one opportunity I almost was able to enter in off of was this 5 minute here. Um, we hadn't taken this low yet, obviously. We hadn't taken Asian session low yet or anything like that. But what happened here was that I needed us. If I was going to get in, it would have had to be with a limit order because my break even was right here. And you could see we just didn't get a limit order fill until after we took my break even point. So I decided I wasn't going to enter this one. Obviously, this would have still played out, as you can see. But that was my reasoning, and I stick by that reasoning. If my break even is going to be too close, I really only want to enter with a limit. Because obviously, had I entered with a market order, like, and maybe got a okay fill up here, right? As soon as we tapped this, that was my break even. I would have been stop break even with this candle. So it's just not worth it. And there wasn't another area, a good area to break even. So that was that trade. And then once we took this low, I was still bearish, but then I saw if you go to ES, we still have not taken this low, right? So there was an SMT here. So that was bullish for me. I like that SMT. It was a bullish SMT that presented itself. We have this 1-hour unfilled fair value gap that was my target for this trade, as well as a 15-minute unfilled. We were after that sweep of the equal lows that I wanted for a short target. After we swept those lows, we had a nice reaction from those lows. It wasn't like a short, like uh short and what's the word I'm looking for, like tired looking reaction. It was a nice push after we swept those lows. Initially, we were tapping into this 15-minute, and like I said, even with this bullish SMT, I didn't have enough confidence to be bullish yet. I know we had a nice reaction here, but if we were going to inverse this 5-minute and react nicely off of this 15-minute bearish fair value gap, Had we inversed this, which we were damn close to doing so, I would have entered for a short. We ended up respecting this 5 minute and then inversing a 5 minute to the upside. So once we inverse that 5 minute to the upside, now I could have gotten a better fill, right? Obviously, looking back, I could have entered with a limit here, but when I'm all the way up here, when price is trading all the way up here, and this is my break-even point, I'm not thinking that I'm going to get a limit fill before we tap here. Obviously, this time it ended up happening. Also, I felt like that was a long ways to go. For me to enter in down here, it's pretty far away from where we were trading prior. So, like, I don't know. I just didn't really like that as a limit fill. So I entered with a market right around this area. Or exactly at this area, sorry. And then my break even was this high. Now, I did break even on my funded. Or I shouldn't say that. I won on the funded and I won on the combine because this price never came back to my break even. But I put my stop to break even once we tapped this high. On my combine, I let it play. I didn't want the break even was pretty close to entry, so I just wanted to let the combine one ride because I can be a little bit more aggressive on the combine just in case we tap my break even before going higher. And that was that. So obviously my target looks like it was the correct target because we're reacting pretty bearish off of it so far. We'll see what we end up doing if this 5 minute holds or not. This would be a decent short if the 5 minute was inversed. But yeah, that was the setup. Had a 5 minute getting respected, had a 5 minute getting inverse to the upside. Obviously, okay, and the one thing that I would have, the caveat here, which would have in the past been like, oh, okay, I'm not going to enter this because we are inside of a 15-minute bearish fair value gap. I easily could have said that. But because we had tapped into it once, twice, 3 times now before I entered, and we were holding our own, and we had a nice SMT, and we inversed a 5 minute, and there was a clear target to the upside with the 1 hour being unfilled, that didn't matter to me. So I entered. There was enough there where I was okay with taking this trade and taking a loss if it did end up giving me a loss. So that was the setup. Because this is a win, I'll show the executions because, when I lose, you just figure, why would I lie about a loss? But with a win, you never know. That's the execution on the combine, or I'm sorry, on the funded. This is the execution on the combines. It's worth noting that I broke a rule with the combines last week, so I was able to just get a free reset on all 3 of them because I have a lot of banked resets. So yeah, that we started with a 50K balance this morning, and that's that.